everyone this afternoon on this wintry day. I'm not presenting alone. As Laura said, I'm Cheryl Johnson. I'm the workforce coordinator with Balsacore St. Francis. Previously, one of the special education directors with Greenville County Schools, retired from the school district, thinking I was retired forever, and I'm not. So I'd like to introduce my colleague.
Good afternoon, I'm Allison Kleeman. I am a special education specialist with Greenville County Schools. One of my happy places that I get to support is Project Search. I was a part of the grant writing to bring it into Greenville County Schools about 5 years ago, and have been a part of the project. So I will also be presenting today.
And our third presenter. You know, I might need to put you over on the side, because let's do this. Stand. If my screen is covering up.
Hi, my name is Brent. I'm a Project Search intern.
So this is our Project Search site. We were blessed this past year with wonderful benefactors. We've gone from a Project Search training room to an entire center. So as we go through the presentation, you'll see some of our expansion. So Project Search began in 1996 at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. There were two nurses that realized that they had a number of patients with disabilities, but they did not have employees. So it started off as a pilot program, and it's grown to over 600 Project Search sites worldwide. There are 14 in the state of South Carolina, and it is a transition from high school to work program for young adults with disabilities. They're fully immersed in the hospital setting, and they participate in 3 unpaid internships. The whole goal of the program is to develop marketable and transferable skills that they learn while they're training in the hospital that will lead to competitive employment in their communities. So we know that Project Search goes from some dependence on us to independence. So our young adults go from being unemployed to employed. Project Search, our site is an interagency collaboration. It is rated funding between Balsacore St. Francis as the host site, Greenville County Schools, which provides our special educator, one of our skills trainers, and our specialist that works with our program, and then vocational rehabilitation, who also provides a skills trainer as well as a vocational rehabilitation counselor. So this is a picture of our team. That picture is from our graduation, I believe 2 years ago. We do have a formal graduation ceremony at Balsacore St. Francis Wellness Arena. So that's our team. The young man in the middle is the Vice President of Mission, Alex Garvey, Bryn's best friend. And Alex Garvey actually brought the program, presented it to the school district. He has been at, is it 7 now? He's had 7 Project Search sites in his career, from Florida to Virginia and now to South Carolina. So, as I said, this is our 5th year at Balsacore St. Francis. Bryn, can you tell everyone what? Oh, you know what, Bryn? Here, let's do this.
We wear olive green scrubs.
Is that kind of what?
That is our motto.
Thank you. So you might recognize some of the young adults if you've been a part of this population for a little while. So 2017 and our 2018 completers, 2019 and 2020. You'll recognize the difference with the 2020 class. Because of COVID being at its peak, our students had to remain masked. So we unfortunately do not have a picture of them as a whole group without masks on. So that's the 2021 group. And then our current Project Search interns. We have our largest class this year. We have 12 young adults working in our program. Before we really get into our program, I want to tell you about some outcomes. This is some data that we've been maintaining since the program started. Overall, we have a 94% success rate in having our completers become employed. So in our first year, we had 8 students that were enrolled, 7 completed, and all 7 were hired by the hospital. Now that is not the intent of the program. The program is to develop marketable and transferable skills within their communities. However, Craig McCoy was the president of the hospital at that time, and I think he was having an Oprah Winfrey moment. And at graduation, he gave all 7 of the graduates jobs in the hospital. And up until 2 weeks ago, all 7 of them were still employed by the hospital. One has sought employment elsewhere since then. But in 2018, all 7 of those were still working in the hospital. In 2018-19, we had 10 students begin the program, 8 completed. And of those 8, 2 were hired by the hospital, and the other 6 were hired in the community for 100% employment rate. 2019-20, we had 10. We started with our 10. We finished with our 10. 8 of those graduates were employed, 2 in the hospital, 6 in the community, and 2 were receiving additional training. In our last year's class, we started with 9 interns. We finished up with 8. And of the 8, 4 have been employed by the hospital and 4 in the community for 100% success rate. So overall, for all of our graduating classes, we have a 94% success rate for employment. Now, I will say one of our challenges we've noticed recently over the years is some of our students wanting different jobs or starting to job hop. But one of the strengths of our program is we do provide them with follow-up assistance after they leave the program, so that if a young adult decides to change positions, there's opportunities for support through vocational rehabilitation or one of the wraparound agencies. So I have a little video to share with you about a day in the life of our interns. Our training room is across the street from the hospital, so they leave our space to go over to the hospital. day in the life, and we'll get into a lot more details of that. That last picture, when you saw our interns doing this, you want to tell them what that is?
We do Woohoo Fridays.
So one of the vice presidents of the hospital, we've truly been embraced by the administration of the hospital. They know all of our interns know all of the upper management by name because that's what they call them. So a lot of them come by, and every Friday, Mr. Eric Whaley stops by to do a Woohoo Friday and talk to them about their week. So that's what that little celebration was there at the end. So as I mentioned, it is a team approach, with the intern being at the focus of our team. We have an instructor that is a Greenville County School District special educator. We have the two paraeducators or skills trainers, one provided by the school district, the other provided by vocational rehabilitation. I am the workforce coordinator. I'm the only BOSICOR employee that's a part of the program. But our interns are also supported by the department supervisor. They are all assigned a mentor when they're in their departments, as well as they have co-workers that are always willing and ready to assist them with their training. I mentioned the vocational rehabilitation counselor who follows them once they complete the program, at least for 3 months to ensure they are successfully employed, and then after those 3 months of successful employment, other wraparound services support them. Also, the family is an important component of the program. We can't do it without the family support. We interview the parents or guardians as well as the interns separately prior to their enrolling in the program, because we want to be sure that competitive employment is the goal for both the intern and their families. Because the family can want it as much as they want, but if the intern is not interested in doing this type of program, it will not be as successful as it has been. So, as I mentioned, it's a team approach, and our students, that's one of the reasons our program is so successful, is the training component. There's a special educator who is the case manager. She provides daily instruction on employability skills. There's a curriculum that comes from the Project Search National Office, as well as just supplementing things through special education services and other resources that she finds that supports employability skills. There's a hospital mentor, and that mentor supports the young adult because this is an employee in the department, so they help train that individual, they help guide their skills, they help them as they learn tasks, add on additional tasks, and they help them understand the climate of that department. The two job skills trainers, they go with them to learn the skills first, so they can then teach and support the interns as they're doing their job, and they identify other job skills to work on that job acquisition. So as they're able to complete one task well and do it successfully, they scaffold others on and add on from there. As I mentioned, the vocational rehabilitation counselor coordinates supports and services to help these young adults reach their career goals once they finish our program. And they do, Voc Rehab does support them until, as I said, that they demonstrate successful employment. So the tasks that our interns do are varied. It really depends on what the needs of the departments are. But they do provide support in a variety of ways that add value to their departments. These are not jobs that are created for them. The jobs that they do in the hospital are jobs that have to be done, that if they're not there, a nurse, a technician, someone else has to do them. So they're supporting the jobs in the department so that the nurses, technicians can spend more intensive time on patient care. So a lot of the things that they do are cleaning and sterilizing equipment, they're organizing materials, they deliver supplies throughout the hospital, all kinds of things. But I'm going to let Bren tell you a little bit more about some of their tasks.
This is Evelyn. She's in cath lab. She is documenting second supplies.
Mhm.
And this is Eric. He's in radiology. This is Elijah. He's in this room. I'm in outpatient rehab.
What are you doing?
Checking my checklist.
Because what are some of the jobs you have to do in outpatient rehab?
I clean doorknobs, light switches, and I clean the chairs in the waiting room.
What about the copy machine
And I do the copier machine, I stock papers,
and the restrooms? What about all those paper towels you have to deal with?
and I restock paper towels in the bathrooms.
Do you do anything with the gym equipment?
And then I clean the gym equipment.
So you have a lot of jobs you have to do, right?
Yes.
It's not just one thing. She stays busy for all those hours. That's why, in terms of accommodations, many of our students have checklists so that they make sure that they're getting the job done and getting the job done thoroughly. Thank you, Brittany. We have a couple more things for you to share, though. And Ms. Allison, why don't you take it from here?
So there are obviously a lot of differences between the project search environment and that of a high school. Support is very different. Within a high school setting, you have counselors, you have nursing staff, you have a variety of administrators, teachers, other service providers. A project search, the staff that works with the individuals are those individuals that Cheryl talked about previously. So that staff support looks a little bit different and is more intentional for acquiring those job skills. In a school environment, you're used to, hallways that can be a little bit loud and crowded, particularly. You're used to a bell telling you when you need to go and transition to the next place. Within a hospital setting, we don't have bells. So students are taught.
What do you have to do?
What do you have to do because you don't have a bell?
Only use our Apple Watches.
Because you need a timer so you'll know, right?
So they
Not everyone has an Apple Watch. I don't have an Apple Watch.
Project Search does not provide Apple Watches. But we do have, all interns have to have a watch. They have to have a cell phone so that they can use their timers. All of our interns, they know to set their timer for 5 minutes before they get to lunch, because lunchtime is not just the time you're sitting and eating, it's also the time it takes to get there, and then if you need to use the restroom and everything afterwards. So we work through those skills. Also, some students participate in a high school setting in off-campus work training opportunities for a portion of the day. Here, students are fully immersed within the hospital setting. They have about an hour of instruction in the morning, an hour of instruction in the afternoon. Everything in between, about 5 hours, is within the hospital setting. In a high school setting, obviously the learning takes place primarily within a classroom. Here, the focus is, in those job skills within an actual job environment. And the focus in a high school is more on academics. While we do look at some academic skills, we look at how those grade with transitioning into the work environment and making sure that any skills can be generalized throughout different environments and within the community setting. Anything else I missed on? Yeah? All right. So what are the expectations of the intern? Obviously, they've got to follow policy and rules of the hospital and the school district. They represent a lot of places. So you represent Greenville County Schools, vocational rehabilitation. You also represent God Supports. And then what high school did you go to, Bryn?
Woodhampton High School.
Yeah, so she graduated from Woodhampton High School. So she's representing all these different places. So we've got to follow the policies and procedures. are different than a school environment. So we have personnel within the hospital that provide support in that way. They learn about HIPAA, they learn about FERPA, they learn about all those different things regarding confidentiality. They attend daily and remain as scheduled in assigned areas. So they are in their departments and they should stay within their departments throughout the day. They attend in the proper clothes with good hygiene and grooming. And as Bryn stated earlier, we have fabulous olive green scrubs. They're gorgeous. And we are the only ones in the hospital with them. So they are unique to our program. On days in which they are not in the hospital, they wear professional attire. They also do interviews for their departments. And you have to dress up for interviews, right, Bryn? Yeah. What did you wear for your interview recently? Do you remember? Oh. I know you were looking pretty sharp.
Did you have on blue jeans and a t-shirt?
It was a blue dress.
Yep. So we're dressing up and we're ready for that professional wear. So demonstrate mastery of skills meeting the expectations of the staff, supervisors, and mentors. There's a lot of flexibility that has to take place there, and that's the purpose of the staff that we have in place. If a student is struggling, or an intern, we don't call them students anymore, we call them interns, in a particular area, that's where we look, how can we accommodate? And we found that a lot of the accommodations that our interns need are just great practices for the department. Some departments have changed the way that they organize their materials or do routines within their departments because they found that the accommodations that we're providing are actually more beneficial to their environment. They develop self-advocacy skills, including leading employment and planning meetings. Within a school environment, teachers mean well, but they also sometimes can enable their students and talk for them and do things for them. That's not the environment of the hospital setting. So they have to advocate when they need to go to the restroom, when they need to take a break, when they need help with a particular skill. They also, every, how many weeks? Yeah, is it every 9 weeks we do the employability meetings?
We do two employability meetings during each 10-week training session.
And those employability meetings go over the skills that have been learned. They go over the strengths that they have. They also talk about their weaknesses. They talk about things that they need to improve upon and things that they're working on. And it's led by the intern. This is their meeting. They are the young adults, so they are leading that process. They participate in employment-related services leading to competitive employment. So again, working with vocational rehabilitation. We also have Rhonda Mumford from DDSN that helps support, and we look at in the event that some individuals may need other follow-along services. And then they apply for jobs matching the skills they've learned for after program completion. So even though we're in a medical environment, so many of the skills that they're doing can be transferable to other environments and other job opportunities within the community. Yeah, tell us about these two pictures.
This is Jessica. She's mopping the floors in the hospital. This is Holly. She is stoking the bacon.
All right, another important part about project search and how it differs from high school is that transportation is not provided. So transportation to Bon Secours, St. Francis from August to June is the responsibility of the intern and the family. And the reason for that is if we had a student continuing to use our busing services, what we found is because they're not looking for a way to transport and how transportation would work if they were on a job, they may not be able to obtain competitive employment or maintain it long term because of that transition piece. So it makes the family already start thinking about, okay, when my young adult is out in the community and working, how are they going to get to their job? Am I going to provide that? Are we going to work with other family members? Are we going to use Uber? We have a young man this year that is using Greenlink, and he has 2 stops, but he gets on Greenlink, he makes it to Project Search, and then that's also how he goes home. And what's great about that is we also provide information for our interns about Greenlink. We have a great partnership with them, and even have training available for how to use the bus, how to obtain bus passes, all of those kinds of things. So we're encouraging individuals to really think outside the box for some of their transportation needs. Sometimes that can be a restrainer for families, and so we talk through that with them. But the purpose behind that, again, is so that families are already thinking about how am I going to help my young adult get to where they need to go to maintain that competitive employment.
Before you go on from that, if you're not aware, and I wasn't, that individuals with disabilities, depending on the disabilities, mainly all of them just about, qualify for a reduced rate on Greenlink. So we were able to secure that for our individual. He didn't know he was paying the full price at first, and we learned about that, and now he gets a discounted rate to ride the bus.
There is some paperwork that has to be filled out as a part of that. So if an individual is part of Greenville County Schools, or even if they've already graduated and they need some of that documentation, we can assist with that. So here is the daily schedule. Making sure I'm still on my slides.
You are.
Okay. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So again, we have that kind of sandwiched in between instruction is the time in the department, but our interns arrive between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. We do have an hour of instruction regarding employability skills with our teacher, Ms. Osment. And then at 9 o'clock, they are headed out to their departments. They actually start transitioning to their departments kind of closer to between 8:45, 8:50. And then they have lunch at the time designated by their mentor or supervisor. They can eat within their departments. They can choose to go to the cafeteria. This isn't an enclave, so we don't have our students kind of staying together and moving around the hospital. They're very independent of each other. Now, a lot of our interns end up eating lunch around the same time, so we do have some folks that meet in the cafeteria, but it's very natural. They talk to their friends and say, hey, when are you having lunch today? Oh, I think I'm having lunch around 11:30 today. Okay, I am too. I'll meet you in the cafeteria. So instead of a designated time, like first, second, third lunch in our high schools, that's something that they have to work through with each of their departments. At 1:45, they return to the training room, and again, they reflect about their day. So they talk about what they did well, what they need to improve upon. This is also a time where if an intern needs to be pulled aside by one of our staff members and work through a situation that was particularly difficult for them, they can do so during that time. And then they also have more instruction, and then there's 3 o'clock dismissal. So it's a little bit of a different schedule than what they're used to in high school. Can you tell us about this picture, Brian?
Is when she is cleaning the bed.
The bed.
Where?
Where is that bed?
We were in the building.
That's right. So a part of our wonderful facility that we have is we have several different training rooms. This is an ER training room that is actually in our facility. So it is right next to our classroom, and so they're able to go in there without patients and other people kind of running around so that they can work on skills that they can transfer to the hospital settings. We're very fortunate to have that space. Our interns are still enrolled as a part of Greenville County Schools, so they still have an IEP that is functional and in place. And all of the rules and regulations, obviously with Greenville County Schools regarding our discipline policies is in place, and then they follow the calendar. So when they're out for winter break, Thanksgiving, spring break, actually the hospital is kind of sad about that. that because they rely so much on our interns, and when they are out for like spring break, they're like, we couldn't manage. We didn't know what to do with ourselves. So they would love it if we didn't follow that calendar, but we do. And then evaluation. So in high school, you get graded based on quizzes and tests and projects and different skills in that way. At Project Search, you're graded based on your evaluation. And so we've really geared them more toward a performance evaluation. I know with my job, I meet with my supervisor, I do a performance evaluation, we talk about things I do well or things that I might need to strengthen. That's how our evaluations are geared. So they go into social behavior, how you respond to questions, are you making eye contact, are you appropriate with your communication. We also talk about constructive criticism. Some of our students aren't used to getting that constructive feedback. A lot of our teachers, again, mean well, but they enable the students. They're like, well, you didn't do so well, but you did so great on this. We want to make sure that the feedback they're receiving is honest and truthful, and it's something that we can work toward and manage, and if we need to accommodate for, we can. So that's all data that's collected as a part of our evaluations. Our staff go in and do observations and do evaluations. Our mentors and supervisors do as well. So we have a lot of data and information that we can compare to guide the support that we provide. That information is also provided within our employability meetings. So it's really helpful information. It also gives meaningful information to parents so that they can help at home. If they're doing dishes or something of that nature, they're not doing it quite right, provide them that feedback and help them work through the situation. I think that's probably the hardest part, starting in their first rotation, is that constructive feedback and criticism, and helping our interns understand, what do you do with that? If somebody says that you're not doing well on this particular skill, how do you move forward from that and correct? There are 3 internships, and they are in different departments. So we want to make sure that we're looking at the students' strengths and skills, and even their interests, but at the same time, we're wanting to challenge them. We're wanting them to grow based on that challenge. Some of you in the room have heard, y'all know that this is a program that's very passionate, I'm very passionate about. And I tell a story about how a teacher with an intern was telling her about all the things that he was doing wonderfully. She had taught him for 4 years. She's like, we're not talking about the same kid. And she wasn't joking. She was saying, I think you're mistaken. And it's because when you get an individual in an environment like this, take them out of a classroom setting, the hospital is very meaningful in letting them know that they are essential and they are a part of patient care. And without them, patient care would be different. So students, interns have pride in what they do. They feel valued. They feel like they're a part of something greater than themselves. And you start seeing skill sets come out that weren't displayed in the classroom setting. You see personalities come out. You see a confidence that you didn't see in the classroom setting. So it's a profound change for many of our interns. But they are within 3 different departments, and within those departments they learn different skills. They learn to work with different employers. They learn to work with different supervisors and understand that different supervisors have different expectations. They have different personalities. How do we work through that? They're in their departments again for 5 hours a day. And again, they lead those employability meetings twice each internship, and they interview for their positions. And the interns just finished that process recently. Tell us about these pictures, Bren.
This is Dequan. He's making a bed. This is Lexi. She is stocking the paper towels.
Okay. Now, I should have said too, this is their first week of their second rotation, and we stagger the starts. That's why we were able to get Bryn here with us because she starts in her department tomorrow. Where are you going?
Radiology
And
and the vaccine clinic.
some of our interns have to do 2 internships because of the workload in their departments. So Bryn, a few of ours get the opportunity to go to 2 different places. So she'll start tomorrow. That's why we were able to get her with us today, so that she would have to
Otherwise,
stay
we
back.
would not have pulled her from her rotation.
No, that's one thing we're serious about, because they're training, so we don't want to take them away from their training opportunities to do things. So, I mean, sometimes we have to because we're doing things for the hospital, like we all decorated well, not decorated, we built the tree because one of our responsibilities too is community service. So we all went to the hotels and we assembled the trees for the festival of trees. And this year, we are also going to be very fortunate because the donations from the festivals of trees comes to us. So not only did we get to work there, we get to benefit from it. So my responsibility as a workforce coordinator is to secure departments for our interns to train in. The emergency department, this last year we didn't use due to COVID. One of our graduates from the program is an emergency room technician there. He serves as a mentor. He cannot wait to get an intern back, so we're hoping by the 3rd rotation this year, if things settle and people get vaccinated and all goes well, we'll get back into the emergency department. But these are just some of the departments that we use. We have one graduate that trained in critical care ICU, CCU. She's now an employee in that department. Last year we had a student that trained in central processing sterilization. He's an employee in that department. We don't want them all hired in the departments though, because we want our future interns training those departments. So we really do try to focus on getting them out in the community. But we have some when if there's a vacancy and there's a need in the hospital and our students excel in that department, then of course they want our young adults with them. So we have, since the program started, 15 of our graduates have been hired by the hospital.
All right, tell us about these interns, Bryn.
That is Daquan. He's cleaning the bed. This is Malachi. He's in linens. This is Gracie in respiratory. Evelyn is in cath lab. She is cleaning a discharge room.
Thank you. So there is entrance criteria, and some of this is Greenville County Schools graded with actual Project Search, because Project Search is international. It's not just unique to us, it is international, and I think we have several locations within South Carolina. I can't keep up because they keep popping up, but we have a lot of locations within South Carolina as well. So you have to be 18 years to 20 years of age, but you can turn 21 years before the start of school, but you cannot turn 21 years before the start of school. So we actually have an intern that turned 21 today. So it is meant to be a kind of a transitional program between high school and going into the community and getting employment. So they must attend Greenville County Schools and have completed at least 4 years and fulfilled their required credits. And those credits are associated with our employability credential, which is not a high school diploma, but it is a credential that is highly rigorous. It does have some academic skills, but then we also grade in those employability skills as a part of that too, and it is a state credential. And then they must have access to independent transportation to Project Search site. So that is something that we make sure the families are aware of prior. And then have independent personal hygiene, daily living, and grooming skills. Now we still work on that. We still have some interns that may need a few reminders. But that's something that we want to make sure that students already have some of those skills so that so we can kind of build upon those and make sure that they're more successful. They're in a very public place, so we want to make sure that they are great ambassadors, not only to themselves, but to the programs that support them. They have to have a desire to work, okay? They need to be able to work. We have had some interviews in the past with some of our individuals, and I remember asking a young man, like, what do you think about working? I don't want to. And I go, I don't know if this program's for you, because you're really going to be working really hard. So they need to want to work. They want, the goal needs to be competitive employment when they leave. That's very important. Maintain appropriate behavior and social skills in the workplace. Take direction and constructive criticism and change behaviors based on feedback from supervisors and staff. That's hard for some of our interns. We still work on that, but it's great if they have exposure to dealing with that type of situation or conflict. Be able to pass a drug screen, background check, and have all immunizations up to date. That's important, and that's part of the hospital system. So our students or interns do have access to patients and are around patients depending on the departments they're in. And then the family needs to be willing to participate in planning, goal setting, and general support of the intern. We want families to truly be the cheerleaders for their young adult and making sure that we're all on the same page regarding that goal for competitive employment. Share with us about these interns, Brent.
Me and Lexi, we were cleaning a patient room, and Elijah is washing the dishes. Jasmine, she is filing paperwork.
All right. So we do encourage Greenville County High Schools to come and visit our program. And so we set that up primarily through Cheryl, but some high schools have reached out to me. And so teachers for the employability program will set up a time to bring interns. We actually, I think, have Carolina High School coming on Monday. We just had Eastside, I believe, last week. So we provide a short presentation, share some of the activities they're done. They get to look at the environment, tour it. They get to participate in some of the training room activities. And it's all led by our interns. While our staff provides some information, we have our interns take them around and show them the different spaces and where things are. And we make sure there is a process for obtaining transportation to that with the school system. So I assist in that as needed. And so here's what's next. Applications will be provided to our Greenville County teachers in early January. And then applications and letter of recommendation are due on Valentine's Day. We set that date the first year and we've just kind of stuck with it. We also provide some informational opportunities to parents so that they are aware of the program and we can have their input regarding the application process and if they want their young adult to participate. Interviews take place in late March. Those interviews are multifaceted. It is an interview with the parents. We're gauging the level of support that those individuals have for their intern and if there's a common goal for competitive employment. We interview the intern or the student without the parents to see what's their level of interest in competitive employment, engage some of their skill sets and interest. We also have them do some tasks. So we rate them on their ability to follow directions on doing some different tasks that would be common within the hospital. We don't have the expectation that they know how to do those tasks right away because they're probably new and unique to them, but it's really how they respond to taking direction and any feedback that's provided during that opportunity. And then we provide a decision, and that's shared with interns and parents around April or late April. And then we have IEP meetings in May to reflect the project search placement. And I typically attend those. Our VR counselor, Jennifer Richardson, also typically attends those as well so that we can provide further information to parents. And then we also have, after that, once all the interns are selected, we do have a parent meeting where we come back together and we celebrate each other. It's exciting. We try on scrubs. The kids love that. The hospital is very generous and provides 3 sets of scrubs for each of our interns. So they get to try them on and figure out what fits best, get to see themselves in that beautiful olive green.
Because we are the only ones in olive green.
We are the only ones in olive green. And just get to celebrate. It's also a great time for the parents to connect and network. And maybe if there's some transportation issues, they can talk about carpooling and those kind of things. I know Dave has helped with some carpooling as well. So that really helps make sure that we're setting up our interns for success. We are on social media, so feel free to
Please do.
find us. We have wonderful staff that I think they put something up almost daily. And it really gives you a picture of what's going on. I encourage you, if you are a parent of a young adult and are interested in this program, have them follow as well, because they're going to see what the interns are doing on a typical daily basis. You're going to see interns within the hospital setting. You're also going to see all of the ways that we celebrate the interns. So we have hospital staff that love to spoil our interns. The administration at the hospital love to spoil our interns, and it's also their happy place, so they're popping in all the time. So there's always a lot of pictures of that as well. And this is how you can contact Cheryl or myself for more information. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns or just want interest in the program. More than happy to talk to you about that. As a school district employee, I can look up your child's information and kind of look through to see where they are in their skill sets and kind of if it's something that might be meaningful for them, and connect you to the right people within their school to talk to. So feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you.
And also, Brian passed out brochures from 2 years ago?
Yes.
2 years ago, 2 classes ago. So feel free to have that, and the social media information is on that. And we thank you for your time and your attention.
Thank you.
There is one thing I forgot to mention. If you know about job opportunities for our young adults, please let me know. I'm always looking for opportunities for our graduates once they complete the program. If you are a business owner or in management in a business, please reach out, because I'm going to tell you that our graduates make outstanding employees. They're there, they're on time, they're focused, they get the job done. We had one young lady that got hired and didn't understand why people took off. We had to explain that people earn time off and that it's okay. So, but truly, please reach out if you know about job opportunities, because I have 12 graduates that will be looking for employment beginning in March.
Something I'd like to kind of piggyback on that is that as much as we're teaching our interns, we are also teaching a community that they have an untapped resource. There is individuals that can be highly successful. Our interns, our students, they have so much pride in the work that they're doing. Like that one student's like, why would I take off work? I love it. So, you know, we are also educating our community that there are students that are skilled. They may not have that high school diploma, but they are fully skilled and can provide such an asset to, you know, your work environment. We're also sending the message that that box on an application that says, do you have a high school diploma, how meaningful is that? Does that mean that an individual has all the skills that they need to be successful in that workplace? Not necessarily. So we're also creating opportunities for businesses and HR departments to have conversations about who's the population and what are the skills that we're truly looking for in our business, and are we tapping into all the resources that are out there. So that's another piece that we're kind of helping this program within the community as well.
Because Bon Secours changed its policy for many of the entry-level jobs. It took off high school diploma. And that's what we're looking for businesses. It does not take a South Carolina state high school diploma for many of the jobs that our young adults do. So.
If the highly regulated medical facilities
Yes.
can do it, other places can too. So that's the message we're trying to send.
So again, thank you. We appreciate you being here.